Welcome everybody to our first ever Zoom event for BNJC. BNJC stands for Brighton Hove, the postcode Brighton Hove Jewish community, and we're set up in order to run what will be an amazing new development on New Church Road, which we're really excited about. So this first event is very special for me because it's with three of my most favorite people in the whole world. The person who's going to anchor the evening is Yael Breuer, who's a phenomenal asset for the Jewish community in the city. I first met her 3 years ago when we had the chief rabbi come down to Brighton and launch our development, which was an amazing evening. And Yael is one of the anchor broadcasters at Latest TV. And I wanted to say hi to Bill and Angie at Latest, and thank you for everything you do for us as well. Yael is going to take us through three segments effectively. One is she's going to talk to Yanir. Yanir, you're going to hear a lot more about when I interview with Yael, and also when she talks to him. He's a phenomenal chef, and we're lucky to be with him here at Novellino, and we thank Novellino as well for allowing us to film here in their restaurant. And Yanir is going to talk to us about making donuts, which is very relevant for Chanukah. We also have our very special guest, Tomer Hamed. Tomer was one of the heroes of the promotion winning side for Brighton Hove Albion some years back, and a phenomenal guy, and you'll hear him being interviewed, and that's going to be really exciting to hear what he's up to now. So it's not been an easy year for everyone with COVID and so on, so hopefully now you can relax, enjoy Chanukah, enjoy this event, and then afterwards watch Brighton beat Fulham in the Premier League. So just before I hand over to Yael to say, if you have any questions or any technology issues, please use the chat box, and someone from the team, the wonderful Jasmine or the wonderful Ashley, will come and help you.
In Novellino Bistro in Golders Green, and we're going to learn how to make donuts. Now, my confession is that I've never made donuts in my life, and I know that there are lots of different recipes, but the chef, the expert here, Yanir, promises that this is a good and easy recipe. So, for those of you who have prepared the dough in advance, you've got it in the fridge or in the kitchen, you can have it in front of you, and we're going to follow the instructions with Yanir. But maybe just a couple of words to get to know our chef. Yanir, you're the chef here in Golders Green in Novellino, but I hear that you might become a chef nearer to us in Brighton, in the new restaurant in the BNJC development.
Might be, depends if I know how to make the donuts.
Yes, well, depends what I think when I eat them
we'll see later on.
Okay, so Yanir, just very quickly, tell me about yourself. You are Israeli, you've moved from Israel to London about 15 years ago?
I moved to Israel, and from Israel to London 15 years ago, as a profession as a chef. I came here to work for Gordon Ramsay originally, and then...
Well, if you've survived Gordon Ramsay. So if you're happy to chat while cooking, can you do both? Can you multitask? Yeah. Right, so we're going to start with the cooking, and just to remind everyone that donuts are traditional for Chanukah because they are cooked in oil, they're fried in oil, and that's to commemorate the miracle of the oil that lasted 8 days.
Yes.
Right, what have we got here then?
So basically we have, the guys at home probably had the recipe already. I don't know if they made it though or they made it with us, but it's quite simple. It's just to put everything together. We have the flour, the sugar, the egg, the yeast, the lemon zest, the margarine, the brandy, and the water. Now, obviously, if you do, it's better to do a parve one. You don't need to use butter. You can use margarine, and you don't have to use. It was one more ingredient, milk. Use water instead, and the recipe is as good as. But if you do want to make it milky, feel free to do it. But really, in the end, it's tasty the same. So we can drop the flour in. And everything doesn't matter. Everything can go in.
It doesn't matter in which order?
No, because you mix it all together. It's easy recipe. Everyone can do that. what's important is the amount of water and flour that you put. You might need more water and you might need more flour. It depends. And basically you just activate the dough and you let it work. The dough that comes out, you probably want to do it like 10 minutes. The dough that comes out from it should be non-sticky and elastic, so you can feel it very airy, very nice dough. And if it's a bit sticky, you need to add a bit more flour. And if it's a bit dry, you can add more water. So you put everything together. And then it's important to let it rest. That's the secret of the donuts. If you let it rest enough until it doubles its size, you'll get a very nice and spongy donut.
So is it the more the better or not?
No, you can as well do it too much, and then it will overproof and then it will get flat after. It's important to let it double the size. So if it's the size of a ball, let it be double ball, and then you will take the air out and make a small balls for the donut itself, and then you will let it proof again as a donut. Almost forgot the brandy, the most important thing. Once it's doubled the second time, then it's ready to be fried. And once you fried it, you will do one side, and then you will turn it to the other side. We can show you a bit later.
Okay. It already smells good. It really smells good.
Is the brandy or the lemon? Oh. I think it's the brandy. Yeah. So if you follow the recipe exactly as it is, you shouldn't add any water or flour, but it might be that you will. It depends on different type of flour, or if you use milk, it might be you will need a bit more flour. But you would like to let it work a lot. You cannot overwork this dough like other doughs. Let it roll until it's become one nice, consistent dough. We'll see it
So
soon.
for people who don't have that flash KitchenAid,
Yes.
would a kind of
You can do it by hand, like the old time. It will take you probably half an hour.
Okay.
It's fun. You can do it with kids and everything. Let them do it a bit, and you can do a bit. It's because the recipe is quite easy. You cannot get wrong with that. So yeah, you can play with it around, but once you let it proof, you leave it on the side and don't touch it until it's double the size.
Okay.
So you see, if you touch it and it's a bit sticky, you will need a bit more flour. Just that it will not stick to your hand. That's the way to feel it. And I will bring some more flour, and then you can put it back and let it mix a bit more.
And you told me earlier that you used to work in Monterey restaurant on the seafront in Tel Aviv, which is a very famous restaurant.
Yes.
It's a fantastic restaurant, in fact.
Yes.
How does it feel to cater for predominantly Israeli clientele as opposed to British clientele? I'm always interested in these cultural differences because I myself live them, every day of my life.
I think the food in Israel is amazing. I mean, the ingredient that you get and the option to create a dish that it's outstanding is quite simple. But as well, the Israeli people are ready for a lot of changes. If we know the history, they came from all around the countries. They're open mind. They open mind for different food. They are eager to have different dishes. They want to explore that field in their bad taste and everything. So they're very passionate about food. In England, I think it's very moving there.
It's a British diplomat already.
It will be. I find that a lot of people like the tradition food, and let's say if it's a donuts with a jam, it will be a donuts with a jam. It will not be with a custard and chocolate and other things. But we're moving there. Hopefully it will be open. But today you can get ingredients all around the world. As I said, the kosher food should be phenomenal. That word, what she said. It can be really amazing. Yeah, and there is no reason why not. If the public and everyone will want it, it will happen.
Right.
But we still have people liking their nutrition stuff.
I think in Brighton we're definitely ready for a good kosher with excellent variety restaurant. Is that a challenge that you would look forward to?
I think it's a challenge to come to Brighton and have a kosher restaurant, and it's a challenge as well because I will do my learning and study what the area and the people around like and what they need and what they want, and then we'll create the perfect thing for them. It is a challenge, but today we're moving forward with a lot of vegan, gluten-free, dairy-free, and I'm quite lucky to be in this time to have everything possible. Yeah, I mean, you can do whatever you want today. The food can be amazing and still be dairy-free, still be gluten-free. So yeah, especially vegan is very interesting to do everything vegan, but it's possible. Like we do the donuts, so we need to have an egg. But if you change the recipe, you cannot just take the egg out and put something else. But if you change a bit the recipe, you can make amazing donuts vegan.
Right.
Yeah, so it's not a problem.
Okay, great. So what's the next stage? Is this ready?
So yeah, if it's not sticky and it's fluffy, it's just like that. So you want to make like a knot, like a ball, and then put it back in the bowl. And then you cover it with cling film. And once you cover it with cling film, you let it proof double the size. So basically, if you have this small ball, you want to come up to here, more or less, and then we'll do it again once it's ready. We'll make it a ball. Small balls, then proof again, double, and then it's ready to be fried.
Okay.
Okay, so now it's just the resting time.
I'm not leaving without eating though.
Okay, I have ready ones. I will go and bring it to fry them. Yeah, it's different size. So obviously, when I fry the big one, it will not be ready as a small one. So I will fry the same size, the same time. So I waited that it will proof twice. I took the air out. So basically, let's say that already been proofed twice. You take the air out, you work it a bit, and then you do a small roll. It's important not to put a bit flour at all. Don't put at all flour.
Oh really?
Because you want it to stick a bit, and if you put the flour, it will just roll. And you want to create like a roll, like a donut.
Okay.
So if you have flour, it will just move around.
Okay.
So then you leave it like that, and you wait it until it will double again. So that side. So let's try. So 160 degrees. You can buy a thermometer, a probe that can tell you the temperature. It's important to put it on a paper because if you try to lift it, all the air will come out. So you really want to gently take it out. It's supposed to be gentle. And then just fry it. You see, it shouldn't be too hot because when you stir it, it will burn from outside and inside it will not be ready.
So if people don't have a thermometer, how do they know?
More or less when it's hot.
Yeah.
They will warm the oil. It's better to have a thermometer because then when you drop the donuts, you will not know exactly if it's hot or not. And you know when you have oil, you put a carrot in the middle, you see if there's bubbles coming from the around it, and you know that the oil is hot. You can try it, but then it will not tell you if it's 150, 160, 170. So.
And what was the ideal temperature again?
If you do 2, so you can keep it even 170.
Okay.
But if you do few, you want to keep it around 160. Cool. So we have different sizes. So we'll fry 2. Then once they get to the right color, we'll just turn them to the other side.
And how long does the frying last normally?
It will be 5 minutes.
5 minutes.
I never tried to see how long exactly, but you will see the color comes out, and then you will turn to the other side. Not yet.
No. Oh, it looks lovely.
And then you will have a nice white line around. And then you let it rest a bit, and then you start doing it after it rests.
Right.
Yeah, so this color is good. You can twist it to the other side. And now, because it's went a bit up, you will have the white line around.
Yes. I never knew why the white line was there. Now
It's just that it goes a bit up and it goes down.
Yeah.
And you do it both sides. It's nice to take it out on a paper, take the oil a bit out. makes you feel less guilty. So now it's ready. So just let it. Don't use your hand when you take it out from the deep fryer. But that's just only one. We can cook some more in the meantime. Like every dough, we want to let it rest a bit. And when it's rest, we have so I made some strawberry jam.
You made it.
I mean, it's quite simple. If you have it's not the season, but if you have strawberries, you need to try it first. If they are very sweet, you need to put less sugar in the jam. But it's strawberry, sugar, and a bit lemon. And that's all. I hope everyone has a squeezy bottle. If not, you can have a piping bag, or you can have a syringe. Or you can just, I didn't say it, but you can do a hole with a spoon and put the jam on. You can do it anyway. There's no one watching you when you do it at home. So once you let it rest a bit longer than that, so you can just stuff it with the jam. And then like this. And then we'll put a bit icing sugar.
Wow, that looks so professional.
And then jam. Okay, let's do another one, jam. That's all, more or less. It's quite simple.
Is it ready now for me to taste?
It's quite hot. You can try. You can try.
I can't wait.
Okay. Careful from the jam. I will give you that.
Oh, this is really good.
Okay, yeah, it looks good.
This is so good.
Cool.
I'm probably full of sugar. Has anybody got the contract here for him to sign? This is fantastic. Absolutely wonderful.
You're welcome.
Thank you so much.
My
Happy
pleasure.
Chanukah.
Happy Chanukah. Chag Sameach.
Marc, for those very few people who don't know about BNJC yet, BNJC, Brighton Jewish Community?
Yeah, Brighton Hove, BN, the postcode for Brighton Hove Jewish Community. Absolutely.
Great. Give me just the gist of the, I mean, it's a huge development. Give me just the sort of summary of what is it about?
Well, initially it was to sort of make sure that the synagogue, which occupied the site, could continue. So we looked at the site, the size of the site, and we thought, given it's an acre squared, there was an opportunity to build something really special. And we went through many iterations of what was possible, and we came up with this idea that actually, if you want to revive a community, you have to focus on young families. So our entire focus has been on, the question has been, what's the right facilities to put on site for young families? So we have residential property, we have an underground car park, we have religious facilities as well, so we have a beautiful shul, which I'll talk about a little later, and we have a mikveh, which the city is going to enjoy. Probably the south coast is the closest mikveh for most people along the south coast. And then we have the key asset, which is the food. Food is always the most important thing. We're going to have a kosher shop, and we're going to have kosher catering available all the time, which is going to be phenomenal. You've heard from Yanir already, and he's going to be a big part of what we're doing. So we have the kosher facilities. We have education. We have a Jewish nursery on site, and we're going to have after school teaching for kids at primary school age, and lifelong learning opportunities as well. And then we're going to have a rich, vibrant cultural set of events as well, which will be clubs and classes, cinema screenings, speaker events, simchas and so on. So it's going to be very vibrant. And then we also have a co-working space so that people can, hang out there day in, day out. And the most important thing is not the facilities, it's the people. And what we really need is the entire Jewish community, religious, secular, whatever. They need to see this as home from home. They should be coming every day pretty much, having a coffee, enjoying themselves. And of course, they'll only come if the quality's right, but we're pretty sure it will be phenomenal quality. So we just hope people are going to come use it.
I popped over there the other day just to see just to get an idea of where we were at, and I was absolutely so impressed. First of all, with the sheer volume, the space. I know the place, I've taught there, I've visited, the synagogue, but I've never imagined that it was so big. And then I saw obviously at the moment it's a construction site, but I saw the plans and the pictures, and it's just looking so impressive. You forgot to mention that there's a very beautiful kind of green area outside, and possibilities for just being out of doors and some workout. And
yeah, I mean, listen, we've got phenomenal architects. I want to have a shout out to Morgan Khan, the local Sussex architects, and to Teva, who has designed shawls in other parts of the UK. And Teva actually came to the last service BHHC had at the old synagogue, and I was there with him. It was a very emotional event, and he's been phenomenal. So we're so lucky. And yeah, you're right, the landscaping is going to be a key part. The elm trees which go up the centre, they're kind of an avenue to guide people into the site. And we have an opportunity, there's a sort of front courtyard which is going to be full of planting, and then a central courtyard, which in the summer you can imagine will be really beautiful because there'll be a lot of outside tables outside of the cafe restaurant area, and then we can spill over. So on a nice summer's evening, people will sit out there, and it should be great. And we're going to have that year round because we'll have cover and heating and so on. So that green space is very important. It's important also to people who live on the site. So the Muse houses, there's 10 Muse houses. They've each got a little garden at the back, not so little, but a garden at the back. There's a planting area as well in front of the Muse houses. There's an allotment. So the green space is really, really important. And I think you mentioned sort of workout and stuff. And I mean, it's funny you ask, because we are being asked all the time about whether there's workout facilities. We hadn't planned to. In fact, Peter Carr, the local MP, is one of the first questions he asked us. And so we're going to look hard to see if there is an opportunity to create some space, because, for mental health and physical health, there's no question these days that being able to work out is a big win if we can do it.
Plus, after eating Yanir's food, you want to maybe...
I think that's absolutely right. And of course, you're a 5-minute walk to the seafront, which is beautiful, and it's the nicest part of the seafront where we are. And then you also have the Downs. So for people who are not so familiar with Brighton and Sussex, there's phenomenal places to go exercise and just enjoy the outdoor life.
So now that you've everyone's appetite, when can we expect for the development to be complete?
Yes. Well, we started on the 14th of January, and we are nearly a year in now, and so far, thank God, we are on programme. And the plan is to open in time for Pesach 2022. So we've got just over a year to go, and so far you've seen the site. We've excavated the basement. We've done the concrete pour there. Last week we actually did the concrete pour for the mikveh, which is a very important landmark for the site. We've done ground source heat pumps, because making sure we're good in terms of our environmental footprint is really, really important. And we've started to build the frames for the Muse houses at the back, the West Block, which is adjacent to St Christopher's, the school next door, and the East Block. So yeah, it's busy. It's very busy. There's a lot of people on site at the moment.
And when people listen to this and think about it, when can people formally register their interest?
Well, funnily enough, I mean, when we had our event with the chief rabbi, who's been phenomenally supportive of what we're doing, back in 2017, we had a survey, and we took people's sort of interest in various parts of the site. Then we had about 40 people who particularly expressed an interest in the housing. And the website's there. If people want to receive our newsletter, which is brilliant, I mean, Jasmine and Ash do an amazing job with the newsletter, they should go to they should email info@bnjc.co.uk. They can be added to our newsletter list. They can go to our website, bnjc.co.uk, or our social media assets, again, BNJC. So there's plenty of ways to keep up to date. And of course, if you go on the website, there's an opportunity to register interest as well. And people really should, because we have 45 units on site, but effectively 10 of them are gone, because you've got the rabbi's apartment, and then you have 5 units that we've given over to social housing, Brighton Hove social housing, Brighton Hove Jewish home housing, and another 4 have been effectively sold. We weren't trying to sell them, but people have come forward and they've offered, and we've taken them up. So there's only really 35 units. So if people are interested, they really should register their interest. And of course, our hope is that not only do we sell them out fairly quickly with young Jewish families, mostly, but also that people will not see that as the end. There's lots of properties in the near vicinity, and you live near to this centre, and you can still take advantage every day of all the facilities that are there.
Right, because the ultimate aim is really to get Brighton to be a vibrant, well, to have a young and vibrant Jewish community. I mean, I've known you now for 3 years, and you and other people kind of more or less your age have been telling me about how vibrant and busy and exciting things were in your youth for Jewish kids and young families. So this is really what you're hoping to achieve, yeah?
Yeah, I mean, as a kid, pretty much every night of the week we were at Rally Hall, and Rally Hall have been great supporters of what we're trying to do, and I thank Roger and Maxine because they've been phenomenal with us. But then every night of the week it was pretty busy, and unfortunately now, I think for the young in particular, it's not quite the same as it was. And Brighton is a phenomenal city. The Jewish community is phenomenal, but there's just, for whatever reason, and you see it in many centres of the world where there's a gravitation towards the biggest cities, London in the case of the UK, but we think that there's a great opportunity now, particularly because I think with COVID, sadly, there's a kind of realisation that work-life balance is important and that people can work more remotely. So we're seeing a lot of a big influx of people, not just the Jewish community, but coming to the city because it's such a beautiful city. And our feeling is for the Jewish community, if we create the infrastructure which can allow them to kind of keep an observant life, or not, depending on what they want to do, that will drive people to come live in the city. And once you get a critical mass, of course, everything is possible.
Right. And you really emphasize the fact that we would like people who either observant or not at all, from all segments of the community, to come there. But the place, the kind of the plot of land belongs to Brighton Hove Hebrew congregation, which is Orthodox. Do you think it could be problematic in that people who are not Orthodox or not even affiliated to any synagogue or stream of Judaism, could it be a little bit of a problem for them to come to a place that is affiliated in its essence?
Well, perception-wise, there's a risk that people have that view. And the reality is, and BHHC have been great partners for us. If you look at the history, unfortunately, membership of Orthodox communities is declining. And the chief rabbi uses this great phrase. He says that you have to have multiple touch points to create a community. And he himself recognizes that the vast bulk of Jewish people these days are not religiously observant, but maybe they're culturally observant.
Right.
And that's what we're creating. So BNJC is very distinct from BHHC. BNJC, I mean, our vision is to revive the Jewish community, create an open and welcoming site for people across the religious spectrum and people who are totally secular, and to create something for the city, some fantastic asset for the city. So with all the events that we're doing, most of which will have a Jewish character because we're proudly Jewish, but some of which won't. Some of it will just be phenomenally exciting, interesting events. Speakers from Sussex University, they're going to do a speaker series. Some of their events will have nothing to do with Judaism. So it's just going to be a site where people can come, they can feel at home, they can have a coffee, can have a chat with their friends, can take a class.
So BNJC is a separate entity to Brighton Hove Hebrew congregation, even though the site kind of...
Yeah, it's a separate entity. So effectively the way it's being organised is BHHC have got responsibility for running the shul and the mikveh in the main, and religious programming. I guess they'll want to do a lot of that. I really hope, because that will be really interesting. I mean, we got some phenomenal rabbis in the town, and then we're going to do a lot of the programming elsewhere. So whether it's cultural, social, educational. We've got a team who are just going to really make sure that every day, every hour of the day, there's stuff to do.
Marc, food. We can't not talk about food. All these people that are watching want to know what's going to be there in terms of eating. And I know that we have Yanir on board. Maybe talk to me about the grand plan of what's on offer.
Well, the great thing, that we've been able to do is we found room for a kosher shop. So that means that rather than schlepping up to London or ordering and just, it's been quite inconvenient for people who wanted to keep kosher in the town. Now it's going to be very easy because you can buy a kosher chicken. We'll get supplies from all the big kosher suppliers. And we'll also make a lot of stuff. Yanir is going to make a lot of stuff which will be sold in the kosher shop. And we're going to have a parrot bakery, please God, which will mean that we can make our own challahs and other things for the cafe and so on. So we have those two things. We have a milky kitchen, which is probably going to be front of house. Yanir talked earlier in his segment about the fact he loves to cook in front of people, and we think that's going to be possible as well. And then at night we've got a meaty restaurant, which I think will be exceptional quality. And we'll be something totally new for the city because there is no kosher facility at all in the city, in the county, I think even in Kent as well. So this is going to be something really important for everyone, and it's going to be really amazing, and it needs to be high enough quality that non-Jewish people will want to come. We've got many unique selling points on site, and around the courtyard and everything else that we're doing. Probably the food will be a big compliment to that.
Great. Okay. Are you also fundraising, or are you also hoping to have the place kind of sustainable in terms of income?
Yeah, I mean, listen, Tony has been phenomenally generous and made this whole thing happen. And everybody should, I think everybody does owe him a huge amount of gratitude, and should, does express, what an amazing thing he has done for the city. There's no question about that. We do want people to fundraise for the site, and not so much for the money, although that's really, really, really important. But it's also because everyone should feel like it's theirs. They should have a stake in it. It's a bit like the Mishkan when everybody gave, and we've already had some very nice donations. Probably the most recent lovely donation was from Ivor Richards, who's just made Aliyah, when he left a very beautiful set of Jewish books to the site, and it's been lovely, particularly because Ivor was chairman of the Reform Shul and a very big, important player in the Reform Shul's history. And it's so great that the Reform Shul, Michael Harris, also the ex-chairman there, and Deborah, who's on the Sussex Rep Council, they're so supportive of what we're doing. That's been a really nice, I guess, a slight surprise to me is how much the Liberal Shul, the Reform Shul, and so on, they all really want this to be for them as well. So, I suppose it goes back to your earlier question, but it's very much, there's a lot of harmony between BHHC and the other shuls as well. So that's something that we can build off.
And the chief rabbi, which is, as you said earlier, that's when you and I met, he came to Brighton, he was so enthusiastic about this development. Are they still involved, the chief rabbinate, are they still involved somehow in this whole initiative?
Yeah, I mean, they've been phenomenal. So we've spoken at some of their provincial communities events, and they're very supportive. They're trying to help us in terms of getting the message out to the broader UK Jewish community as to what we're doing, and just being there to give advice. Yeah, please God, he'll come down to the city again and be a big part of the opening. We're excited about that.
Great. And finally, I mean, this is very much, you're very enthusiastic about the project. A lot of people from the community are involved, looking forward to it. And obviously the Brighton Hove community should have some kind of ownership of the whole thing. Are you actively looking for more people to be involved in some ways? Yeah,
I mean, that's a great question to end on. I mean, first year, it's been, we've had a lot of work to do, progressing the actual construction and just getting legal agreements and so on in place. Now we've done that, and we're starting with this event. This is kind of a new chapter. We're going to have some great Zoom events in the near future, and then hopefully physical events towards the second half of next year. But now is the time when people can come and they can almost see the site kind of growing out of the ground, that we can start to do things. And if everybody, there's 2,500 Jewish people, we think, roughly in the city, we really would love them to think about 10, 20, 30 people they know who do not live in Brighton, and they can reach out to them, contact them, and then all of a sudden 25,000, 30, 50,000 people, which then means the whole Jewish community in the UK will know about what we're doing. And we need to be smart about the way we do it, but it absolutely needs the Brighton community to spread the word about what we're doing, and ultimately soon as well to become involved in helping put events on. So if we do an event next year to sort of open up to visiting families to come and see when we've got a show house and a show apartment ready, then it's going to need the local community to help us put that event on. Because it's, you know, we're not a big team. We have to be cost conscious and we have to be fairly small. But we're reliant on the kind of goodwill of the local population. And yeah, we also want to survey them and discuss with them what they want to see on site. Because whilst we've already done it to a degree, we've got a lot of what I think are great ideas. You know, we want to hear from other people. People have always got phenomenal ideas that we haven't thought of. So absolutely.
Thank you, Marc. I'm really excited about the whole thing.
Brilliant. Thanks, Yael. I really enjoyed talking to you. Thank you.
Tomer Chemed, all the way from Australia. Hello.
Hello, Chag Sameach. How are you?
Happy Chanukah. I'm good. I've actually met you before. That was a few years ago when you were in Brighton. And it was at a Purim party. So from Purim and now to Chanukah, and we have the opportunity to see each other again. So you're in Australia now, and I understand that you're in quarantine for another few days.
Yeah, I'm already 10 days here in Sydney, but I didn't see nothing yet. I'm still in the room, just waiting to finish my quarantine, and then I will join the team in a few more days. Yeah.
It's going to be your first Chanukah in Australia, I guess. Do you know what you're going to do? How are you lighting the candles? Who are you spending it with? Is it very different there?
Yeah, obviously now with that situation, when I'm doing my quarantine, it's a bit weird, but I'm happy that here, like in everywhere, the Jewish community, Bet Chabad, they spoke with me, they arranged for me here Chanukiah and candles, and I'm happy that I can do it by myself without my family, but still to do it here in the room. But yeah, we prefer to celebrate together with all the family, but this year we will do it differently.
Obviously, yes. And, and it's so good to have the technology now that enables us to see each other. Anyway, you say that the Jewish community has already been in touch with you and Bet Chabad, etc. I bet they're very excited to have you there. I remember when you were in Brighton, everybody was so excited about you being here. And I even got some texts and phone calls from friends in Israel who, asked me about you. I became a football expert, which those who know how unlikely that was. I wanted to ask you a little bit about, obviously a lot of people have followed your football career, but I'm interested also to know about how it's all been for you as a person rather than just as a footballer. I'm particularly interested, we'll go way back to maybe your childhood in a minute, but if we start with your time in Brighton, which is what I'm most interested in, a lot of people who are watching it would be as well. Remind me, how long were you in Brighton for? How long were you playing for the Albion for?
So I was there in Brighton. I lived there for 3 years, 3 amazing years, I must say. We felt there like, from the first day, like we are in a big family, especially because of the Jewish community. Of course, that the people in the town and the city is very nice, and we really enjoy there. But I think our connection with the Jewish community there was something special. And we lived there 3 years. After that, we moved to London for 2 years. But Brighton is always something special for us, and it was a very nice time there for me and for my family. It was, then since we moved, we had another daughter, but we were there with two of our daughters, and we felt that it's our home. We're away from Israel, away from the family, from our country, but we felt very, very good in those years. So I must say that, again, that the Jewish community from the first day gave me very good feeling, and I met everyone in the synagogue, and I think a lot of supporters of the team were happy to see me there. And and I must say that Rabbi Pesach Efyun, from the first day, he helped me with everything and take care of me, and we're still in touch now until now. And I have only good memories from the time in Brighton.
That's really nice to hear. And particularly, I've lived in Brighton now for 30 years, so that's 10 times more than you did. I love Brighton, and I love the city, and I am also in touch with the Jewish community. But you were there only for 3 years, and it can't be easy for someone with young family moving from Israel to England. Were there any difficulties to start with, or did you feel at home quite quickly?
So, to be honest, we had, before we came to Brighton, we had, let's say, few years after Israel, still before we came to Brighton, actually we went to Spain. So we had few years in Spain, and then when we came to Brighton, we felt it different, because in Spain it wasn't like in Brighton. I think the Jewish community in Brighton is something special. It's not something that you can find everywhere. Of course, that in London as well, it's something amazing. It's a very big community, but after Spain, it was much easier for us to come to Brighton and feel like the warm welcome, and to feel that amazing feeling around all the holidays that we could celebrate together with everyone. Because like I said, our family was far in Israel, and it's not easy to be without everyone in those days when you celebrate some holidays. So for us, it was the best feeling we could get. Everyone gave us an amazing feeling, and we felt like like we have a family there actually. So let's say that it's made it much easier when when we had everyone around us.
That's lovely. And so I know now you're embarking on a new stage in your life in Australia, but do you think it's ever a possibility of you coming back to live in Brighton? I mean, I kind of happen to know someone who is selling houses there.
Yeah, for us, it's a place that we'll always be happy to come back. Of course, that in the end, it's depending as well in my job and in the football side, but we know Brighton is always some club that will be special for me and in my heart, and I'm still in a good relationship with Tony Bloom, the owner, that everyone know how amazing he is and what he's done for the club and for the community in Brighton. So yeah, we are hoping, and it can be amazing for us maybe to come back one day and live again in Brighton, to be part of the city, the Jewish community, and as well part of the club that it's it's an amazing club was for me to be part of it.
So let's talk a little bit about the club. I told my colleague yesterday, who's football mad, that I was going to interview Tomer Chemed, and he said, "Who?" And then Tomer Chemed.
Yeah, for them it's a bit different name, but yeah.
So he was singing your praises, telling me how fantastic a player you were. I knew about it anyway, because as I told you, a lot of people were asking me and talking about you. You've played for other teams. How does the Albion compare? How does the being part of the Brighton club compare to other teams that you've been involved with?
I think that I had experience with few clubs in Europe, but I think at the moment that I was there in Brighton, I think it was the best time to be there. I think when I came there, everything started to go for where everyone wants. In the first season when I was there in the football side, I mean, we were so close to do to win the promotion. And it was last game that we didn't do it. And then the year after another amazing season, we did it. And, the celebration in the town it's something that I will never forget in my life. To see all the people, all the town celebrating with us that amazing moment. I can't describe, and say what was the feeling. And the year after, to be in the Premier League with that club and to be part of the team that took the club to the Premier League, I think those years was maybe the most special and most amazing for the club. Of course, that now since then they are doing well in the Premier League, and I'm happy. But those years when we actually we did it and we took the club from the Championship to the Premier League, I think it was the best time to be there. And from the first day, I think I felt like it's very humble club that everyone want to help you. Everyone want from the first day to give me the good feeling that whatever I need, they're there for me. So I think as well, the chairman, Tony Bloom, he's done amazing job there, and he built it from the basics, and he done amazing, he built amazing club. And I think everyone that was there and still there can say all good things about the club. So for us in the football side and in the family and our life, I think it was maybe one of our best years in my career and our career.
I remember well that, that year, and the kind of feeling of pride and festivity of the success of the club. You could just feel it all over town. For you, of course, it was also extra special because you played in the same team with your friend Biram Kayal. Tell me a little bit about that friendship. I know it goes way back, doesn't it, to your childhood in Israel. So maybe tell me a little bit about that friendship, how it evolved and how it felt to actually play together.
Yeah, it was a very special story because me and Biram, we used to play in the youth team together in Israel, in Maccabi Haifa. We knew each other when we were kids, and we came for the first team Maccabi Haifa together, and we had a good time together there. And then Biram left to Scotland, and I left to Spain. And actually, we've been in touch, and we played together in the national team. But we couldn't believe that one day our ways we go again together, and I knew that he's in Brighton, and when Brighton wants me, they spoke with him as well about me, and of course he was happy to hear that I'm coming. And for me, it was as well the best thing that can happen, that you are coming to a new club, a new place, a new country, because we came from Spain. And you know that you have friends there, and since the first day, all the players, they saw how close we are, and we were like one family there, me and Biram and our wives, and then our kids as well. We are still, until now, very good friends, and we feel like one family. When we left to London, we still used to meet each other and do a lot of things together for the kids. So I think our story is something that, to be honest, in all over the world, they came and spoke with us because our special story as a Jewish Israeli player with the Arab Muslim Israeli player. So it was something special for everyone. And I think we used that story and tried to maybe to affect, or maybe to give for some kids somewhere, the example how the life can be and how you can build friendship without really matter if you are like in the same religion or something like that. It's not, like I said, it's something that we could use for our friendship, for example, for everyone. And I'm happy we had the opportunity to do it, yeah.
Absolutely. So as you say, everybody was looking at you, both friends from way back, from your childhood, playing together, and you've become a kind of a symbol for, for hope for people, as you say, to kind of live in peace, forget about their religion or their background, and just, people treat each other as people, as friends. It's absolutely fantastic. But talking about, football, it's a well-known thing that football unites people anyway, and has the real power to do so. But the other thing is, you also have played for Israel's national team. And I'm forever comparing sometimes funny examples, sometimes less funny examples of differences in mentality between, for example, Israel, because I'm also obviously from Israel, and England. For you to play for both, kind of English and obviously other European teams and Israel, do you find yourself a little bit schizophrenic in the sense that you have to adapt to different mentalities in different backgrounds, or does football kind of surpasses everything, and is it more or less the same once you're into the sport and play with other people?
I think the main thing is the mentality is different. When you're coming from Israel, you used for something as a kid, and when you grow up and you play football there and like professional player, and then you move to Europe and you find that there are differences in the mentality, in the football, the style of the football, in many things, and you need to be ready for that. I'm happy that I used to adapt very quick because in my seasons in Spain and in England as well, my first season they were good, and it meant that I could actually do it quickly to adapt for the changes. I think, it's different to grow up in Israel. It's different environment, different mentality, and totally different from what you maybe feel as a kid in Europe in different countries. Of course, that every country is different, but for us, I think the Israeli mentality and I don't know how to explain. It's something different. Like, I think it's something that only there you can feel. I think people all over the world, when they go to Israel, they realize how special is this country and how the life is so amazing there, and many people want to stay there. And so for me, like I said, it was something that I had to get used to, the difference between the mentality and the lifestyle or anything that, as a Israeli, I had to actually to adapt. But I'm happy that I did it on the football side good, and as well with the family. We actually, wherever we went, it was quite quick when we get used to the new life.
Okay, just very, very quickly, when you were a kid, when did you know that you were probably going to be a professional footballer? When were you kind of discovered?
Oh, I think around, let's say, 6-7 years old. As a kid, I played a lot of sports, and I liked sport in anything like basketball, tennis, football. But in one stage, I realized that that's the best thing that I want to do and my favorite sport, and I saw that I'm good in that. And since then, I knew that this is my target in my life.
Great. Well,
and this was my dream, actually. Yeah, that was my dream when I was in that age, and today I can say that I achieved my dream, and I'm, just want to say thanks God that I had the opportunity to achieve and to do what I loved, and as well to give maybe the opportunity or the hope for the kids in Israel to believe that they can do it as well.
Great. Well, good luck with your the rest of your career. And I wish you a very Chag Sameach to you and to your family. Happy Chanukah.
Happy Chanukah. Toda rabba. Chag Sameach lekulam.
So thank you so much, everybody, for tuning into this event. And before you go and watch Brighton beat Fulham, just to say thank you so much to Yanir for making such unbelievably beautifully tasting doughnuts, to Novellino for allowing us to use their restaurant, to the amazing Yael for hosting this whole event with such aplomb, and to Tomer, who called in quite late at night in Australia despite being in quarantine, and really was brilliant, and we so enjoyed listening to him. And just to say, if you have any feedback or you want to follow us, please follow us on social media, BNJC, and sign up to the newsletter. If you email info@bnjc.co.uk, we will be in touch. We'll also send you an email for feedback as well. And most importantly, please spread the word. We really want to attract young Jewish families to the city, We want to recreate the vibrancy we all enjoyed in years gone by, and make this a phenomenal success. So thank you.